my question to you is someone who has been part of the Church of England, moves to the Catholic Church, is what you make of those worldviews that duke it out, because many see Pope Francis as being a similar type to Benitez, who I've just described, and Pope Benedict is perhaps more the Tedesco conservative chap. What kind of a Catholic Church do you think? Well, are you for? Is it an and or? Is it a both of those and something else? What do you think the Church could and can do? Huge question, but interested to hear what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I mean, there's a writer on a Catholic priest, another convert, who he has this idea of the great thing about the Catholic Church and Catholic theology and practice and devotion is that it tries to be both and rather than either or. And what he means by that is that, so he came out of an evangelical Protestant background, where there were certain things that were rejected. So, the strength of evangelicalism is sort of biblical scholarship and worship and discipleship, but they don't have, from the Catholic perspective, they don't have the same sacramental life. They don't have the same kind of enduring traditions and structure. And so that this Dwight Longnecker, this guy's name is a beautiful American name. He says, well, when he became a Catholic, it wasn't a question of rejecting his evangelicalism. It was kind of building on it and being both and. So to me, I always think, well, very often in church disputes, the sides are both right and sometimes both wrong at the same time, because I think it's certainly true that you can't have a church, a Christian church, unmoored from tradition and the legacy of the last 2,000 years, because by definition that is that's what the faith is. And it's very important to hold to traditional understandings. That goes all the way back to St. Paul and to the apostles, who are recorded as saying, hold fast to the things you've been given. But equally, I think tradition can become its own kind of idol, if that's not too harsh a word to use it. So I suppose that the church always has to keep in mind what it's for, which is to, I suppose, bring the gospel of a person, Jesus Christ, to the world. And to do that, you do need to be grounded in tradition, but you do need to be conscious of how the world is changing and how you best communicate with people, and whether the kind of words and concepts you choose to explain things are the most suitable ways of doing that. So it's not about changing the substance of the faith, because I think that's a concern that traditionalists often rightly have, which is that revisionists will, under the cover of changing the methods of communication, they will actually try to change the substance of the teaching. But you need to hold fast to the teaching while thinking about how you communicate it, how you explain it, how you make it present in the world, if that doesn't sound too pretentious. So I think, in a sense, I am a conservative, a traditionalist in most respects, but I do think that it's always worth keeping in mind the point that the liberals, for want of a better word, will say about the way that the world changes, so the way you need to explain things changes. So to me, I think there's a tension there, and I think it's a useful tension, and I think you'll often get popes from different sort of sides of the church who have different emphases, and I think that's probably good for us. So Benedict was a very scholarly, precise sort of man. If he hadn't become a priest, he would have been a great academic. Well, he was a great academic, and a great theologian. But Francis, although he's not a precise thinker, he's not really a systematic thinker. He's got a really good eye for the grand kind of loving gesture. So there's a lot of photos of him, for example, embracing terribly disfigured people and disabled children. And not that Benedict didn't do those things, but I suppose the point I'm making is that there's so much in Catholicism. It's so rich. There's so many different things you might emphasize that it's actually good to have people with different strengths and different understandings. So, you've got, classically, the church has always had monastics. It's had people who live a very enclosed, prayerful life. It's had evangelists. It's had all sorts of weird and wonderful saints. And they're all doing something good, but not everyone can do all the different good things.